All right, so we literally were just live. I'm going live real quick because I want to talk about the practice squad, give you my thoughts. The Rams did just announce they've signed 15 out of the 16 allotted for their practice squad, so we're going to get into it. Before we do, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. This literally happened right after I went offline, so my timing, as usual, is impeccable. So let's talk about it. AJ Arcuri was kept. Wyatt Bowles, True Edwards, AJ Green, Jack Heflin, Tanner Engel, Cam Lampkin, Dylan McMahon, Jameel Muhammad, Elias Neal, Bill Norton, Brennan Presley, Ronnie Rivers, Cody Schrader, and Nate Valcarcel. So who are these guys, right? Like, what's going on here? All right, well, obviously some of you know them, but maybe not everybody. So let's talk about it. AJ Arcuri. I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't really get this. He knows the system. He's been around. This is a 7th round pick that is just sticking around in this organization. And I don't really understand why. He hasn't really proven anything. Didn't have a good preseason. I would have rather had Trey Wedig over him personally, but that's just me. So there's that. Wyatt Bowles, really like this player. Utah State, impressive player. I thought he had a shot to potentially make this 53. I think when you look at Wyatt Bowles, this is a player that could get onto the 53 later on in the year. This is a player that I'm actually glad they kept big time because I think he's a really good player. And when I had Emory Hunt on, he said, this is one of the better offensive tackles in the draft. So definitely top 10 there. Wide receiver True Edwards. Really like True Edwards. Didn't get an opportunity to play most of preseason, but did suit up in that Chargers game. Caught the go-ahead game-winning touchdown. He's a fierce player. He's strong at the point of, at the catch point, can break tackles, can go up and high point the football. He was dealing with an injury. Then he ends up essentially, passing his physical, getting taken off the PUP list, playing, and immediately looked really good out there. So I'm glad they're keeping him around. I'm excited to see what he can do, next year when he gets an opportunity to try and make the team. So like that. Cornerback AJ Green, love this one. This is my favorite addition. AJ Green, I thought looked good enough to make this team. He was really impressive. I saw in the Chargers game, really stood out to me the way you saw Justin Herbert was really trying to go after him, was trying to target him. You saw in the Cowboys game, right? These quarterbacks were going after, they're picking on number 27, and I thought he really held his own and looked really good. Physicality was there. Just really liked what I saw from AJ Green. So I love keeping him around. I think he's a good player in this league, and I think he'll probably be added onto this roster should any injury happen. I think this is a player that they're excited to continue to work with. Then you have Jack Heflin, who he had a great preseason. Heflin is the one that I'm excited about. It's also why I wasn't necessarily for keeping 7 defensive linemen, but and I mentioned this on, say, the roundtable. I don't think I mentioned it on here. I did do some research. I did go back, watch some tape. I went back and found that Desjuan Johnson had, I think it was over 60 snaps at edge. So if they look at Desjuan Johnson as one of the edge defenders there, then maybe they don't feel like they're keeping 7 defensive linemen. They feel like they're keeping a hybrid defensive line / outside linebacker. Desjuan's a very talented pass rusher. His toolbox, like I said, has been really expanded. He just continues to grow. He's quick, and he's very smart and makes decisions on the fly. And like I said, he's got a really good toolbox. But if that's the case, then that makes sense to keep 7. Now, I think Jack Heflin is a really talented player, and I think I wouldn't have even been against keeping him on the 53 over Murchison. I like Murchison too, but make no mistake about it, this is a good player. Would not be surprised to see him get added to the 53 later on in the year. Tanner Engel. This is a fan favorite. This guy hits so damn hard. I thought for sure Tanner Engel was gone. He's sticking around. He's going to stick on the Rams practice squad. He was not claimed. And he gives the Rams somebody they can elevate on game days if they need a little punch in the back end of that defensive back room. So I like what I see from him. He's another guy, plays special teams. He has a chance to be something in this league. And his story has not been written yet. So, we'll see. But again, any injuries happen, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get an opportunity on the actual 53-man roster. Then you have cornerback Cameron Lampkin. Now, I like Cam Lampkin. I think obviously they would have liked to keep Charles Woods as well. At the very least, right? But I think Lampkin is another guy. You saw the ball hawking ability against the Cowboys. It's clearly evident there. This is another player that they're excited to work with. And I did say this DB room would get plucked, but surprisingly, Lampkin made it through waivers without getting claimed. So the Rams will get an opportunity to continue to work with him. And, kind of like last year, sticking on the practice squad, he comes back for year 2. Next up is Dylan McMahon, the interior offensive lineman the Rams stole off waivers from the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't have anything to really say about him. He didn't play in the preseason. He's never done anything for me to believe of anything. I wasn't a big fan of him in the draft. So, and I'm also really bitter that the Eagles have Willie Lampkin. So I don't really have too much to say about it, except they want to continue. He's more depth in the interior, but I wasn't overly impressed with what I saw last year. So, yeah, there's that. The one that I really like, by the way, is outside linebacker Jamil Muhammad. You might know him, USC fans out there. I like his rush, okay? I like he's got this long arm that he uses. I thought he looked good in preseason. I thought he looked good, and I'm excited that they get a chance to work with him again because I like that player. And again, he's another guy I wouldn't be surprised makes the 53 at some point. Elias Neal, okay? Now, it was tough, right? They cut Tony Fields in the first wave. They keep Elias Neal. Then they cut Elias Neal in the final wave. I like Tony Fields a lot. I think he could be added. I'm not going to say he's not. There is another spot available. That's interesting. We'll find out. I'm sure that gets filled tomorrow. But the way I see it is this. You have a guy in Elias Neal who initially made the roster last year. Okay? He did make the 53-man roster. People forget that. Was a little surprised. Elias Neal made the roster. And in addition to that, he's 3 years younger than Tony Fields II. So I think they just want to continue rolling with Neal. Neal's somebody who showed the ability to blitz in preseason. He also wore the green dot. In addition to that, he can play special teams. So he's got some ability there. He's got some value there. Then defensive tackle Bill Norton, who had a sack in the Browns game. He's a guy that they want to continue to work with. I didn't think he was bad. Didn't really fully stand out to me, but Heflin to me was the biggest keep, I think, on that defensive line. Brennan Presley is coming back with the Rams. Absolutely turned it on in preseason, led everybody in receiving, really showed the explosive ability, can, of course, play on special teams, can be a returner, but can also help you on the offensive side. I see a roster path for him very similar to what we've seen, from Xavier Smith. And I think when you look at these guys, it's important to remember, if you're a UDFA who's sitting on the practice squad not knowing what, your future holds, well, look at the Rams. Look at the Rams, right? You got guys all over the place who are UDFAs. Jalen McCullough, UDFA, he's going to have a huge role this year, right? So there are guys like that all over the place. You have to feel good if you're in the Rams building, just in general. Brennan Presley has a chance to do what Xavier Smith did, to do what Brandon Powell did, right? He's got that chance. I'm not going to be shocked if he finds his way onto the 53 later in the year. Ronnie Rivers gets one of the veteran tags there. AJ Green was one of the veterans, then Ronnie Rivers was the other. Ronnie Rivers gets hurt early on. This team absolutely loves working with him. Obviously, has a really good, rapport with the running back coach, Ron Gould. So it doesn't surprise me at all. I like Ronnie. I like him on the practice squad. It makes sense. Cody Schrader also made the practice squad. Unfortunately, that means, Waters did not. And I thought Jordan Waters looked good, but they're only keeping Rivers and Schrader. Schrader, here's the thing about Schrader. Returned in the game against the Eagles in the playoff game. So he literally was on the 53, returning kicks in a blizzard against the Eagles in the playoffs. Doesn't make the roster this year because they go out and draft Jarquez Hunter. It's a tough roster to make. They couldn't keep more than 3 running backs. They find a way to get him. Keep in mind, the 49ers cut this guy. They claimed him last year. So the Rams' only roster claim the last 2 years has been Cody Schrader. I like him. I thought he looked really good in the opportunities he was given. He's going to need to work in pass protection, but he can help you in special teams. Another guy who could be elevated on game day. And last, but certainly not least, Nate Valcarcel. Kind of all over the place, right? A good preseason. Showed some range. Showed some tackling ability, some run support. I think, altogether, these 15 guys, it's a good group. I mean, I'm a little confused why they're kind of obsessed with AJ Arcuri at this point. But it's nothing against him personally. It's just, of course, talking about his play. Bill Norton, was a little bit of a surprise. Dylan McMahon is a surprise to me. I'm not like a huge surprise, but I don't know. It's not maybe something I would have done. But it is interesting because the Rams did leave one more spot to fill. They signed 15. That was announced by the Rams, by the Rams' actual, thing, like their social media. So, it tells me, because you sign these guys after waivers comes through, which is at noon. So it tells me that there was clearly somebody that they felt like was going to make it through waivers that didn't. Now, obviously, if you can just do the numbers in your head and figure out 4 guys, Willie Lampkin was waived injured, so he can't go on the practice squad, unless maybe they were going to put him on the practice squad injured list. Either way, that's not going to happen because they totally botched that. It would be between Brennan Jackson, Charles Woods, or Darion Kendrick. And both of them were all 3 of them were claimed, so that remains available. And we'll see who they fill with that. But it is interesting that they left that open. Maybe it's Chris Paul Jr. choosing the Seahawks over the Rams. Maybe they didn't see that coming. I don't know. But it is interesting. That said, that's all I got. Really, not much to say. I think the guys that I'm most excited about on this practice squad, Wyatt Bowles, I think that is a player that I'm excited for them to continue to develop. I like True Edwards a lot, so I'm excited for him. I'm excited for AJ Green. I'm excited for Heflin. I'm excited for Jamil Muhammad. And I'm really excited for Brennan Presley. Everyone else, I'm excited for them, obviously, as well. But those are the guys that really stand out. But I think altogether, it's a good practice squad. You have a lot of guys that have potential to crack this 53 later on in the year. And you have guys that I think could have cracked this 53 if they didn't keep, say, 3 quarterbacks, if they didn't keep, say, 7 defensive linemen. I think that's kind of what you're looking at there. So, yeah, Cody Schrader made 53 last year. Wouldn't have been surprised if he made it this year. I look at a guy like Brennan Presley, even the Rams, with how much the social media team was talking about him. I thought there was a chance he could, make this team. Elias Neal made the team last year, right? So there are guys, Tanner Ingle, it was going to be tough. AJ Green, I really thought he was going to make it. But yeah, I think all in all, it just kind of goes to show you the Rams have a really, really deep building. And I like the way this looks. I'm excited to see who they add as the final guy to this practice squad. And of course, keep it here on this channel for that information because I will get it to you when I have it. But that's going to do it. Appreciate you guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment before you head out of here. This is probably my last video of the day. I'm going to be very busy the rest of the day. So wanted to get this out of the way and get everything all, packed up. But yeah, it's been a long day. It's been a frustrating day, but the practice squad looks good. And yeah, I'm still really tight about Willie Lampkin and Chris Paul Jr. So it is what it is. But you guys take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later, folks.